Well, here we go with former player interview number 6. And this one may be a little bit different because it's somebody who didn't play an awful lot of games for Southport, but has had a fascinating life before, during and after playing for Southport. So tonight we bring you Steve Wilkes. Hello, Steve.
Good evening, Rob. How are you?
Good, thank you. Nice to see you. And you're looking really well.
You wouldn't have said so a month ago. I bought myself a Peloton a month ago, so I've lost a bit of weight, which I'm happy with. My wife said to me the other day, at least I can see one of your chins now, so I'm happy, yeah.
Oh, well, as I say, I've just been doing a bit of research, but I think Dan's going to lead on this one because he's got most of the questions. So I'll let you take over this one, Dan,
yeah,
I think.
No worries. So obviously, you've had quite a long career in football, but let's go right back to the very beginning. How did you start in football?
Well, it was a strange one, really. I've always played football since I was 5, 6, 7. My dad was a professional footballer. He had a year at Accrington Stanley, and he had a year when he was at Reading when he was serving in the army down south. So football's been in my family for quite a while. My dad obviously ran a Sunday league side that did very, very well, and when I was at Southport, I played up front, so I ended up playing fullback at the end of my career. But I played up front predominantly when I was a young lad. I scored quite a lot of goals because I was quick. Going through the school years, we got to the cup final under 16s, which was played at Deepdale, obviously because I'm from Preston. And a lot of the scouts that they're watching that game that day had come to watch a lad called Franz Carr, who played for Nottingham Forest, Southampton. And we ended up winning the game 3-2, and I scored a hat-trick. So the day after, my mum and dad's phone was off the hook, you know. We had like Bury, Rochdale, Preston, Burnley, Bolton, and Wigan. And what we did, we looked into the youth side of it, and I decided to go to Wigan. So I had 2 years as an apprentice at Wigan, which was brilliant. On a year's pro at Wigan, which I didn't make the first team. It was strange, really, because the manager that signed me as a professional, Harry McNally, unfortunately lost his job in the summer, and they brought in Brian Hamilton, the ex-Irish Northern Ireland international, and he just didn't fancy me at all. So stayed there for a year, had a really, really good year. In the reserves, playing at places like Old Trafford, Anfield, Goodison Park, great memories, And then I left Wigan, and I signed a 2-year deal with my hometown club, Preston, which, for a Preston lad, I was a ball boy at Preston. My dad used to work on the turnstiles at Preston. Was a dream come true, really. So yeah, I loved my time at Preston as well.
So was your dad your big influence then when you were learning your trade?
Yeah, mum and dad. I've told many stories about my mum and dad. That my mum didn't drive. My dad was a steward of a Catholic club. They were steward and stewardess. But wherever I played, I remember playing one Thursday night up at Newcastle for Preston North End Reserves, and I came running out to do the warm up. And as I'm stretching, I looked into the crowd, and there was this lady sat there. It was my mum, and she set off at 7 o'clock in the morning on the train. And I think in them days it was like train to here, then to there, and so I can't imagine what time she got home that night. But that's what, yeah, they were massive. I've got 2 boys and a daughter, and my mum, sadly before she passed away, would always come and watch one of them. She was always there. Same with my dad. So yeah, football. You could say football's been in my family quite a while.
Just a bit, yeah.
Who was in and around the Preston team at that time then? Who were your peers?
Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce was centre half. Frank Worthington was up top. People like John Thomas, Gary Brazil, Nigel Jemson. We had a winger called Brian Mooney, an Irish lad, fantastic player, probably one of the best players I've played with. Mick Rathbone, who's in the physio now. So, and it was a very, very good side. We got promoted the first season out of what we call the old Division 4 at the time. So yeah, great memories. I only played 12 games in total, but like I said before, the memories that will, take to my grave with me are fantastic.
So how did you end up at Southport then? So you've gone from Wigan to Preston. What happened between Preston and coming to us?
Well, I left Preston after 2 years. John McGrath, I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. He took me in his office because obviously, like I say, I was a centre forward at Southport. I left Southport. I'm sure we'll get onto the tale with Mickey Taylor. I left Southport and signed for Morecambe. But when I left Preston, I actually went and played in Holland for a team called VVV Eindhoven. But I was only young, and it was 1988. They just won the Euros with your Van Bastens and your Hullets. And it was a strange feeling because there was not many foreign players in England then, and I don't know if you remember Asa Hartford and Len Cantello, who were good footballers at the time. And they'd just finished and they'd set up an agency that they took me abroad. And I remember, I was £150 a week at Preston with £30 a point and £30 appearance money. And they offered me £750 a week to go and play in Holland. So I went, but it only lasted about just short of 6 weeks because my girlfriend, who's my wife now, was pregnant with our first child. And nobody spoke to me. It was like I took one of their friends' places, if you know what I mean. So I think September time, I came home, and obviously Mickey Taylor at the time, he's a Preston lad, and he got in touch with me, and that's how I came to Southport. Yeah, I think I joined about just after the season started in September, and I tell the tale to everybody that when you come out of professional football that I've been in for like 5 years, and you drop into non-league football, you think it's going to be easy, and it was not easy. No. I think I found my feet probably about December time. But so I struggled the first few months, but then I got in the side regularly. I think it was about November time, December time, playing up front alongside Bobby Thompson.
So what was training and things like that like compared to what you'd had at Preston?
That was the difficult side of it because you're training every day. And you think you're fit, and then all of a sudden you've gone from training 5 days a week and playing on a Saturday to training for an hour and a half on a Tuesday and an hour on a Thursday, and your levels just drop, And I found you subconsciously think, and I'm sure other people that have dropped out of professional football into non-league football will tell you that you're better than this, and that's not in a bigoted way. You think it should be easy, but I say to everybody, the lower you go. I sit and watch the Premier League now, and the amount of time these centre halves get on the ball. As you know, I'm managing at the minute, and there's no way my centre halves get that time on the ball.
You don't get that at Northwich, do you?
Definitely not. No. So I struggle to adapt. Especially with the training. Because obviously, like I say, going from 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. I mean, we didn't train in the afternoons in those days. It was like you'd be in it. It started at 10:30, finished at 12:30, and you were back home for 1:30 or playing snooker or whatever it was. So it was a big culture shock for me from training like 10, 12 hours a week, going to like an hour and a half a week.
Were you working alongside it as well?
Well, I got a job. Yeah, I got a job at a place called Wormsley's Bakery, where I had to start at 4:30 in the morning, getting these orders ready. And it was part-time at the beginning, and you'll laugh when I tell you this story. So you went in at 4:30 in the morning, and you got all the cakes, the vol au vents, all the fresh cream cakes, the bread, everything ready for your orders, and then you set the orders up and sent them out to the other lads that did the driving. I'd been there about 6 weeks, and one of the managers was a footballer, and he knew I'd played at North End, and he said, "Do you want to go full time?" I said, "Yeah, definitely, mate. I'll go full time." So you still start at 4:30, but instead of finishing at 8:30, you'll go about 6:30 in the morning. You now go driving and taking all these orders out. Brilliant, yeah. Because like I say, my girlfriend at the time had just had a baby, and I remember this particular. I think I've been full time about 4 days, and I was driving around Chorley, and I dropped this order off, and Chorley was like a pedestrian thing. It was like you went in a horseshoe, if you know what I mean. And I came around the corner. Next thing, my van just rocked from side to side. I heard this almighty crash, and I thought, "What the heck was that?" And when I'd looked, I'd caught the van on the travel agent's bureau, the change sign, and I pulled all the front of the shop out. Both sides of the shop there was out. So it crashed. Obviously, I opened the back of my van and there's cream cakes and bread all mixed in together. And I thought to myself, "Can I get away with this? Well, can I get away with this? Do I just?" Because it was like 6:20 in the morning. I thought, "Shall I just drive off?" But unfortunately, the people at the market were setting up, so I had to go back to work and tell them what I'd done. And that was my last day at that job. So that was the Friday. That was the Friday. And then on the Sunday night, I got a message asking me if I wanted to, if I fancy being a postman. And I've been at Royal Mail for 31 years now. So, yeah.
Excellent. So during that season then, you were with us. I think the big event is probably everybody knows was the Port Vale game. What was it like around the club at that time, building up to the game, the big game itself?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I think, if memory serves me right, it's a long time ago, I think I scored twice in the fourth qualifying round against Tolo Town.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, I'm only 5'5", and I scored 2 headers. So obviously bouncing into that week when you got Port Vale, you knew you were going to be on Match of the Day, and all the coverage, that it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, you know. So really, really enjoyed. I don't think we played well on the day. I think probably the occasion got to most of us, if I'm being totally honest. I remember we had a really good chance at 1-0 down. Didn't take it, and then we ended up getting beat 2-0. Yeah.
Did you prepare differently for the game to what you would have done normally? Did Mickey Taylor have any special tricks for the FA Cup?
Well, we trained a lot more that week. You know, instead of like doing the hour and a half, I think we trained four times that week. So whether that has something to do with it, yeah, it's strange. You might be right, you know, because obviously you're not used to it, you know. So, but yeah, all in all, it was a brilliant occasion, you know, and I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to the people from Southport now. If anybody asks me what my best year in football was, I'll say that year at Southport. Mm-hmm. You know, not just because of the FA Cup, but because the fans were just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We had a really good side. You know, probably should have gone up that year, if truth be known. But yeah, I mean, and obviously after the car crash, what the fans did for me, I'll never forget that. We'll get on to that. But
let's talk about that then. Yeah. So that happened just after you left us, didn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to know why I left?
Go on, go for it.
Do you want the story?
Yeah, go. We like these stories, Steve. These are the best.
This is a true. As I am sat here, this is a true story. We played on the Saturday, Easter Saturday at home to Marine. I think we'd lost 2-0. And then on the Monday, we were away to Bangor City. And we turned up for the coach at 9:30 in the morning. And 3 or 4 of the players were drunk. I'll have to name names because obviously this is one of the reasons I left. And, you know, I got on really, really well with Paul Byram. We're still good friends to this day. But there were Paul Byram, there were Frank Gamble, there were 1 or 2 others that were Quinny. You know, they were like worse for wear. And what happened was Mickey Taylor, it was his birthday that weekend, and he had a party after the game on Saturday that had rolled through to the Sunday. So when the players turned up on the Monday, they were worse for wear. We had to stop the coach 2 or 3 times going to Bangor for 2 or 3 players to get off the coach to be sick. So we gets to Bangor, he names the team, and Quinny and Paul Byram said, "Sorry, Gaffer, I'm not in any fit state to play." So we went out and played a 3-5-2. I was playing as a wing back on the right hand side. Half time came and it was 0-0, and Mickey Taylor's giving his rant and his rave as he did. And halfway through the team talk, Paul Byram chirps up and says to me, "You need to do better. You need to get involved." And I actually looked round because I didn't know who we were pointing at. I said, "Are you pointing at me?" And he went, "Yeah, I am, yeah." And I went, "And you're sat in the stands because you're drunk, and you're having a pop at me for not playing well." And Mickey Taylor went, "He's right. He's right. Listen to him. Stop answering back. He's a senior player. He's right." And I thought, wow, now this lad is not playing football, you know, because he's in a drunken state, and I'm trying my hardest. Anyway, we went out the second half. 6 or 7 minutes into the second half, the board came up, number 7 on it, and I was on the far side of the pitch. And as I came walking across the pitch, Paul Byram was sat in the dugout, and we laugh about it now, being Byram, you know what I mean? And he laughed at me and he went, so I took my shirt off and threw it at him and just carried on walking into the changing rooms. We ended up getting beat 5-0. That's not because I came off, like, but, you know, we ended up getting beat 5-0. So on the Saturday, we were playing Witton Albion away. And my mum and dad, as we touched on before, came to every game. So I got them 2 tickets. I went into the clubhouse to give my mum and dad the 2 tickets. And one of the supporters came up to me and he said, "Steve, I can't believe it. I'm absolutely gutted." And I said, "Why, what's to do, mate?" And he went, "You've been released." I went, "Sorry?" And then another bloke came up to me and he went, "Steve, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting." I said, "What is, mate?" And he went, "That you've been released." And I went, "Well, it's first I know." So I gave my mum and dad the 2 tickets. I walked back towards the change rooms. As I opened the change rooms door, Mickey Taylor put his foot behind the door and wouldn't let me in. So I'm pushing the door to get in, and Mickey Taylor wouldn't let me in. So I watched the game, obviously. I tried to speak to Mickey Taylor after the game. He didn't want anything to do with it. 7:30 on Sunday morning, I was in bed, knock on my mum and dad's door, and it was 2 directors from the football club had come for my suit.
Oh, gosh.
On the Sunday morning. They wanted my suit back at 7:30 Sunday morning. So, like I say, it's the best year in football I've had. You know, I can't remember how many goals I scored, but really, really enjoyed it. So for it to finish like that, and that was the Saturday, and obviously the Sunday. And as you said, I was a postman at the time, and on the following Tuesday, I'm on delivery in Preston, and Mickey Taylor pulls up he had a Jaguar then, pulled up in his Jag, and he said, "Hiya, pal, have you got a minute?" And I thought, is he taking, you know? And I said, yeah. And I actually thought he was going to say to me, "Look, I'm really sorry about what happened. I should have." And he went, "I've got a job for you if you want to come and work for me." And I thought, what? And I said, "No, it's fine. I'm all right. I'll stay as I am." Now, listen, I get on. You know, I haven't seen Mickey Taylor for long, but you know, his son Nigel, we get on quite well, and you know, he's got a wonderful left foot as his son Nigel. But unfortunately, that's the way I ended my spell at Southport. Yeah.
You did have a good record, didn't you, Steve? Because you 26 games, league games, and 9 goals. That's a pretty good scoring record, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, I really enjoyed playing up front with Bobby Thompson as well. You know, we had 2 good wingers in Quinny and Frank Gamble, who were, they'd put the crosses in. Quinny'd knock them, I'd lay them off for me, and I'd try and finish as much as I can. So I think all in all, obviously counting the cup games, I think I got 16 goals that season, I think. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it at Southport.
Good.
So obviously we know now why you left. But with a record like that, you must have had a pick of clubs.
Right? Yeah, 3 or 4 options in the summer. Yeah, but like I say, Morecambe. Because I'm from Preston, so Morecambe was on my doorstep. There was a couple of ex-North End players up there, Graham Houston and Jonathan Clark. So I went up to Morecambe. Started off the season quite well, and then the Tuesday night, I think it was away at Bishop Auckland, and I went into a block tackle and tore my ligaments in my knee. So I ended up in hospital that night. Came home, my dad drove up, the following morning, picked me up. So I was out the side for about 10 days, and then on the 1st of October, unfortunately, this Sunday night, about 10:20 at night, I had this car crash that I had, that me and Alison were in the car. Don't remember much of the day, if I'm being honest, but I didn't drink. So it wasn't a case of me being drunk at the wheel or anything like that. Me and Alison had been to a pub in Preston called the Sherwood, and I can tell you I had a glass of Coke, and Alison had a taboo and lemonade. And we were setting off to go for a meal in Samlesbury. And then the next thing I knew, I remember being cut out by the helicopter above, and the fire engine sirens going and being cut out. And yeah, it was I remember, funnily enough, the manager at Wormsley's, where we talked about before, the bakery, he saw my car being towed away and said to his mate as he was walking on from the pub, whoever is in that hasn't survived that, But we were lucky enough we'd survived it. Albeit, I ended up in hospital for, I think it was 13 weeks with a badly broken femur. It took 11 days for the operation to be taken because my leg wasn't straight. So they had to put it in traction to straighten it out, which took 11 days. And then I had a 2-foot rod inserted into my thigh. And I was told I'd never play football again. And when you're like 21 years of age and told you'd never play football again when it's been your life, you think, wow, we had a little boy who were 18 months old at the time, and Alison was in hospital for about 2 weeks. She had a lot more injuries than me, but hers were more superficial, like she broke a tooth, she chipped a collarbone, where I just had the broken leg. I had internal bleeding, and I'd cut my head here where I've got a scar now. I tell people I've been in a fight. So the scar on my leg goes from my knee right up to my hip bone, if that makes sense. So when I'm on holiday, anybody asks how I've done that, I'll say I was in Australia a few years ago and 2 sharks attacked me.
You've lived off the glory.
Kicked one of them in the face, the other one finned me. So But yeah, it was really, really, scary times when I broke the leg and the car crash. And I mean, Preston North End were brilliant. As soon as I was out of hospital and I could walk again, they invited me to come back in, and I did all my rehabilitation at Preston North End. So, John McGrath was the manager at the time, so obviously he kept in touch. But yeah, I think it was about 18 months after that I started playing football again.
That's fantastic. So you've told me that one of the things that you look back on is the way that the Southport fans treated you around that time as well, considering that you weren't even at the club anymore. This interview came about, didn't it? Because I found something in an old programme and sent you it, which was a little article about a bucket collection that the supporters had done to raise a bit of money for you because of the accident. And that's when you said to me that in terms of your experiences in football, Southport was your favourite time. Can you remember what it was like when you came back to Hague Avenue then? Give us a run through of what happened then.
Yeah, never forget it, Dan. A lad who used to work with, who I worked with, funny enough, he's the Charlotte Richards secretary now, a lad called Dave Rowlands, was a Southport season ticket holder. And Dave, we worked together. I was a postman at the time, obviously, when I had my car crash. And Dave said to me one night, "Do you want to come and watch?" It was a Tuesday night. I remember it. I can't remember who they were playing, but it was a Tuesday night. And I remember I was on crutches, obviously, and I remember, walking down the front of the stands. And as I started to climb the stands with my steps, the whole stand stood up and applauded. Obviously, I burst into tears, then round the ground, people obviously realised who it was, and then the applause just rang around the ground. And it was just, like I said to you in the text, it's something I will never, ever forget. And that's why when people say to me, about Southport football, I will always hold. I know people say they have a special place in the heart for this football club and that football club, but for what Southport fans did for me that day, I'll never ever forget. Because we also touched on, I was a Morecambe player at the time, and I was in hospital. I think it was 13 weeks. The manager never came to see me once. Nobody from the board came to see me once. The physio came a couple of times a week. A gentleman called David Edge, who sadly passed away recently. And I remember after having the operation lasted 8 hours to try and get my leg straight and insert this rod. And I remember 3 or 4 days after the operation, Edgy came down and we're having a chat. And we've been talking about 10, 15 minutes. And when somebody's got something to say and they aren't saying it. And then he just went to me, "Steve, I've got something to tell you." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "They've released you. The club's released you." And like I said, 3 or 4 days after my operation, Morecambe Football Club released me. I'd never spoke to anybody on the committee, the manager, and I just thought, and then, so obviously for what Southport did to me when I wasn't one of their players, I'd left. Like I said, will stay with me forever and ever.
Well, I think the remarkable thing is that you did come back, didn't you? I mean, how long did you say it was? About 18 months or so, but you were back playing again.
Yeah, I went back playing with a local club, Bamber Bridge, who were in the Northwich Counties. They'd just got into the Northwich Counties that season, the first season. My first ever game back was, would you believe, Bamber Bridge had invited me down to pre-season training, and they were playing a charity match against an ex-Preston North End 11. So half of the team that was playing for Preston were all the old lads that I'd played with, And I remember I came on at half-time and they played me left back, which I'd never played left back in my life. I haven't got a left foot. My daughter's got my left foot. I don't know, So, and I remember a gentleman called Ronnie Ildersley who were playing wide right, and we'd been playing about 5 or 6 minutes, and there was this 50-50 ball, and we both went flying into this tackle, crunch, and I got up, passed the ball away, and about 10, 15 seconds later, I thought, it didn't hurt. It never hurt. I'm okay. I can do this, And like I say, that year, the first year back was 1992. I'd had me crash in 89, so it was 92 when I started playing again. We won the league, we won the cup at Bamber Bridge, and we got to the semi-final of the Vos, and we ended up getting beat 2-0 in the second leg down at Wimborne. So I was one kick away from Wembley, if that in the FA Vos. So a really good year to come back, and I stayed at Bamber Bridge for I think 3 or 4 years. And then a new manager came in and he wanted all big 6-foot defenders. So he brought all his own players, and I ended up going to Darwin.
And I guess that's where your manager's journey eventually starts, isn't it, Darwin?
Yeah, strange, really, really strange, because the manager was a gentleman called Ian McGarry, and the chairman was Kathleen McGarry, his sister. Well, she was actually Catholic because she was married. She was Kathleen Marr, I think she was called. And I was the captain. Ian had made me captain. I'd been there about 4 or 5 years, I think. And then one summer in '97, my phone rang, because there was no mobile phones then. It was, my house phone rang, and it was Kath. And she said, I want to ask you a question. I said, all right, go ahead. She said, I've just sacked our Ian. I said, all right. I'm like, okay. And she said, I want you to be manager. And I went, no. I said, I'm not being manager. And at the time, there was no way I could speak him. I could not do this with them, And I said, no. She said, I'll give you 48 hours. I said, okay. This was a Saturday. She said, I'll ring you back Monday night. And without name dropping, Sam Allardyce, who we'd played with at Preston, like we touched on earlier, was manager of Bolton now. So I rang Sam and I said, look, I've been offered this manager. I'm only 29. And I'd said to Sam, look, I've been offered this manager's job at Darwin. I said, there's no money. I said, I've never done anything like this before. I've never wanted to do anything like this before. I've not done my coaching badges or anything like that. What do I do? And he went, do it for 6 weeks, Wilkesy. He said, and if you like it, you'll stick at it.
And you've stuck.
And you're stuck at it.
1,089 games later, I'm still doing it. So, yeah, and that's exactly when she rang me back on the Monday. I said, look, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I remember the first season was horrific, and I think that's why, I'm not saying I've done well in management, but that's why I've stuck it out for so long, because of the hardship for the first 12 months, no money, sometimes you go into football matches with no goalkeeper, and you're having to play centre half in goals, and it was, I've been joined by my dog here, playing centre half in goals, and it stood me in good stead, because obviously when I moved on from Padiham and things got a little bit easier, I think that's why I've stuck at it so long. But yeah, I remember I managed Padiham for 7 years, so again, I'll always thank Padiham for giving me that opportunity. But yeah, that's how it came about.
You can tell you're passionate about your football still just from talking to you now. But there's one story that I have heard you tell that I wouldn't mind you repeating, to do with your antics on the touchline and a certain ban.
Oh, and I was at Padiham.
Yeah.
Yeah. That came about while we played Nelson the previous season on. I think it was Easter Monday. We'd drawn 2-2, and the referee had an absolute holocaust. He was horrendous. I think he scored 2. But anyway, I'd shook his hand at the end of the game, and then as he turned his back, I gave him a hand signal or a hand gesture, or however you want to call it, behind his back. And the bloody linesman saw it, didn't he? So obviously he came up to me then and showed me the red card, sent me off. So I got a 2-match stadium ban. Which I thought was a bit harsh, because touchline ban, yeah, but a stadium ban. So the following season, we played City Liverpool in the FA Cup, which was the first game of the season. So I thought, I can't miss this, So I got a 12-foot ladder. I put it up against the fence, and I watched the game from the ladder. Now, City Liverpool had just formed about 12 months before, so they brought about 300 or 400 fans, and one of the fans had took a picture of me barking orders out on top of this ladder, and he put it on Twitter, and I won't say it went viral, but it had like 11,000 likes and all this. Well, the FA saw it, didn't they? The Lancashire FA saw it. Sent an email to the club on Monday and said that I'd brought the game into disrepute by not fulfilling my ban and doing it properly, so they gave me an extra game. But it ended up on BBC News that night, on Monday night. I didn't see it, but my mate said, are you watching BBC News? No, I said, you've just been on. I'm like, what? So obviously you can catch it an hour later. I watched it an hour later, and yeah, there I am on this ladder on BBC News. And the funny thing about it was, it said, how passionate is this manager? What a brilliant, fantastic the way he's thought he can watch his team. And then the next bloke went, could you imagine Jose Mourinho and Jurgen Klopp climbing a ladder? And I thought, I've been in the same breath as Jose and Jurgen Klopp. And you know, the funny thing about it was the chairman at Paddy went nuts at me. He said, you know, I'm bringing the club into disrepute. Everyone's laughing at us. I said, no. He said, it's bad publicity for the club. I said, it's not. No. I said, because there's no bad publicity when you're on TV and everyone's smiling and laughing. And you know what? The funniest part about this was on the Wednesday, I get a phone call from a telephone number I didn't know, and I answer. Hello, is that Steve Wilkes? Yeah. Hi, it's such and such a body. We run a hot air balloon company. I said, right. He said, and on Saturday, we want to set you up in a hot air balloon and hover over the ground, and so you can watch the game so you can't get done. And I'm like, no, I don't like flying. I can't stand flying. Never mind going in the hot air. He said, we'll put your sponsor's logo underneath so everybody can see it. I'm like, no, mate, definitely not. So, but yeah, that's a true story as well.
Love that. So let's fast forward to more recent times then. So you're currently manager of Northwich Victoria.
Yep.
What's it like now then, in terms of all the pyramid restructure and all that sort of stuff? Where does that leave Northwich today?
Licking our wounds. You know, because obviously 1874, the breakaway club from Northwich have got one of the 3 promotion places, which hurts. But we were second last year when the league got curtailed. I think 1 or 2 clubs in our league are going to complain that which 3 clubs have gone up, because what's happened is, I'm sure you're aware, season 19-20, when obviously COVID hit in March 20, that season was null and voided. So there's no records of it. You cannot go on the Northwest Counties website and look at the results of the league table. It's gone. But they've used those points from that season. So if they'd used them from the season before, we'd have finished top. You know, so, but like I've said to the 3 clubs that I've spoke to, all 3 managers from the 3 clubs that have gone up, and wished them all the best. And we had a poor season. We got to the semi-final of the Vale in 2019 and got beat on penalties down in London at Chertsey. The season after, I think we had a bit of a hangover, you know, and when the season finished, I think we were 9th or 10th, which for us wasn't good enough. If we'd have finished 4th or 5th that season, we'd have been in the top 3. So I've no qualms about the 3 clubs that have gone up. You know, some people say it makes the league easy now because 3 good teams have gone out of it, but we found out on Monday that Macclesfield have come in.
Yeah.
So, and I've spoke to 1 or 2 players recently who have also been touted by Macclesfield, and I can't get anywhere near the money that Macclesfield are offering players. It's for expenses, obviously, you know.
Oh yes,
for expenses, yeah, but absolutely astronomical figures.
Can I ask you what it's been like in lockdown for a manager there, Steve? It must have been difficult, mustn't it?
Very. It's very difficult because, like you say, I've done this job now. This will be my 24th season, I think, when we start next season. And I love the phone calls I'm making, the phone calls I'm getting, the games I go and watch, the training sessions we put on, the games on a Saturday. You know, Sunday's a day off. You know, I used to go and watch my kids play football on a Sunday. So to go from that, where you're ringing your assistant manager or you're ringing your coach, your goalkeeping coach saying, look, I want this happening, to nothing. You just don't get a phone call because, you know, for the first 2 or 3 weeks after the lockdown came in, yeah, the banter in the group, in the WhatsApp groups, flying backwards and forwards from the players, but then it just stops because there's nothing to talk about. And I found it I found it more difficult after the second lockdown, if that makes sense, because when we went back after the first lockdown, you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're back, and you know fans were only we were only allowed 300 fans through the door, but we were getting 300 fans through the door, so it was a good atmosphere on the ground, you know. And then bang, it stopped again, and you're thinking, when's this going to end, you know? And we played 5 what I've called them pre-season games recently, you know. But I've had 3 of my players that I had last season or this season, whichever, up until November, December, not come back.
Just packed in.
And well, they've not packed in as such, but they've said that they've got other things on their agenda now, like they're building a new house or they've bought a house and they want to do that up. And at my level, you know, where they're getting paid peanuts, really, it's tough. You know, I mean, none of my players were furloughed or anything like that. So, but yeah, just to take that day-to-day intensity, which some people might think, oh, you're you want to get rid of it for a while. That's not in my blood, you know. I love, you can tell I love football. And when I got sacked at Runcorn Linnets, I think it was 2011, in the beginning of September, I had 9 months out of football. And for the first 6 weeks, I hated football, you know. But then you miss it, you know, and you miss that day-to-day, the banter with the lads. And that's what I miss most, the dressing room with the lads, you know. But fingers crossed, you know, we've just played 5, like I say, we've just won 5, which is good. We've given them a month off now. We're coming back in on the 15th of June because our season starts in July this year, so which is strange for us. I know it's only a week or two earlier than normal, but to start a football season in July is never heard of. So, so yeah, we start on the 15th, and then we start our pre-season friendlies on the 3rd of July. So we've not got much of a pre-season. So again, you don't know whether to run the lads or, you know, because they've had a month. It's strange, but it's the same for everybody. So we'll just try and do our best.
You mentioned before about your daughter having a wand of a left foot. She's a footballer as well, is she then, Steve?
Yeah, she's on a scholarship in America. Yeah, she's loving it out there. She came home on Sunday.
Yeah.
But she'll be going back in a couple of weeks because she's moved universities now. She's gone in what they call the transfer portal. So, and it's all the education side as well, where she now has to go back. When's this going out? This is going out the 5th of June, so I can tell you. So, yeah. She's going to a university called LSU, which is Louisiana State University. So, but she's got to go and do 2 weeks of summer school to get her hours up. It's complicated to get her hours up for her education side, you see, because at the minute she has 89, what they call 89 credits, 89 hours, but because she's transferring to another one, she loses some of those hours because they don't do the same courses. So when you go to a new university, you have to have so many hours, and Olivia's 7 hours short, so she has to go back to Louisiana and do 2 classes, which will get her 7 or 8 hours. Yeah. So, but yeah, she loves it out there. She loves it out there. So, and hopefully we'll get to go and see her this year because it's a senior year. So hopefully the travel will get lifted, and come October, November time when it's her birthday, we can go out for a week.
And the football over there is mega, isn't it?
Oh, honestly, mate. Yeah, you know, we were talking before that the university she's going to, LSU, the American football team, because obviously they call football soccer over there, don't you know?
Yeah.
So the football team, the American football team, get 103,000 watching them every week. Every week they're at home. 103,000, mad. You know, so that's so much. I hope they're at home when I go and watch. So I'll go and watch it. You know, so. But yeah, she's done really, really well. Really proud of her. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Superb. Well, it's been absolutely pleasure to have you on here, Steve. It really has. I knew it'd be a good one. It's going to be difficult, obviously, to get you down to Haygav because obviously you're managing all the time. But if you are ever have a free weekend or anything, then do let us know. We'd love to have you over.
Yeah, I mean, me and Liam get on really, really well. You know, I think I've managed twice. Back, I think I've been to Southport as a manager twice now. We've won one and lost one. I think we won when I was in 1999. I was at Darwin. We won 4-0 in the semi-final.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you manager then for Darwin?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, what's his name? Got sent off for a horrendous tackle. Left-footed Welsh lad, good player. He's played at Swansea. Oh, what's it called?
No.
Yeah, Lee Trundle, yeah.
Oh,
got
really?
sent off for a horrendous tackle, yeah. And the next time we went, Mark Wright was manager. And we were playing 20 minutes in, and we had a free kick, and this lad just ran up and kicked the ball, just booted the ball away and got booked. As soon as he got booked, he took him off. He brings a sub on, the ball's down, he ran over and kicked the ball, and he got booked. And I'm still there thinking, and what it was, they had a big FA Trophy game coming up in 10 days. So he had to get these 2 players booked. So if they got booked in the league game on the Saturday, they would have missed the trophy game. So he got them booked against us and then brought them both off. Yes, strange. But yeah, I remember that one as well. So, but yeah, I'll definitely, you know, come down to Hague Avenue probably one midweek game. You know, it'd be nice to see a few faces. So, because there used to be, I'm not quite sure of the name. There was an oldish couple whose son, I think his son went on the board. Was he the program editor?
Hayden.
Hayden.
Jack and Vera Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I remember when I left the club, was it Vera? Did you say
Yeah.
Vera then? Vera cried. Yeah. She came up to me in the clubhouse. I went and cried. They used to sit on the front row, didn't they? Just behind the dugout. Yeah. So I remember. Yeah. So I like I say, you know, I loved my time at Southport, and I'm glad they're doing all right. You know, because they've had their ups and downs, aren't they? You know what I mean? But I mean, to get in the conference and be part time is just phenomenal. You know. But yeah, definitely, I'll definitely come to a game, mate, when we've no game on a Tuesday, or because our home games are Wednesday anyway, so it'd be nice to get down on a Tuesday.
Superb.
Lovely. Thanks, Steve. Well, we said at the start we'd get some stories out of you, and I think you've fulfilled that for us. You know, you didn't have that many games, but what a stories you've had. So thanks for your time, Steve. And as I say, make sure you come down sometime.
Definitely will. Definitely will, Rob.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Take care, mate.
Thank you.
Dan. Take care.
Bye.